Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. I'm Mayoral Lewis. For the first time in nearly 7 years, the federal government has shut down. Today, Republicans and Democrats appeared no closer to cutting a deal and continue to point fingers at each other. On the Senate floor earlier, two funding measures were brought up for a vote, one backed by Republicans, another one backed by Democrats. Both failed to get enough votes to pass. Here in the city, top New York Democrats are attacking Republicans, asking New Yorkers to blame President Trump for the shutdown, and all but saying that we should vote Republicans out of Congress next year. But when pressed on her plan, should the stalemate drag on, Governor Kathy Hochul was vague about her strategy. State House reporter Bernadette Hogan has tonight's top story. Good evening, Bern.
Good evening, Errol. But the governor did admit that next year's budget negotiations will be a tough one. Of course, she does not want to reveal her cards just yet. She says she wants to dig in her heels, stand her ground, and hope that some sort of compromise can be made in Washington.
It sucks.
Kicking off the blame game,
Donald Trump and the Republicans in Washington forced a government shutdown.
Governor Kathy Hochul is telling New Yorkers worried about what the federal shutdown means for them, direct your fury at Republicans.
We have 7 Republican members of Congress who claim they represent New York. They have enough numbers, they have the power, and instead of exercising that power, they literally bow down to Donald Trump.
Now, the state is analyzing which programs are at risk. Over 2 million New Yorkers on food assistance subsidies and 442,000 low-income women and children could be impacted, as well as the salaries to some of the over 115,000 federal workers in the state. Hochul warns the biggest hit is to health care premiums, already planning to backfill around $750 million this fiscal year.
We're not talking about bailing them out right now, if that's what you're asking. People need to see that there's consequences right now.
Last year, the state passed a $252 billion state budget spending package made up of state tax dollars and nearly $100 billion in federal funding that go toward everything from infrastructure repairs to hospital reimbursements, security grants, and education assistance.
It's $93 billion of money we get from the federal government. I've said from day one, we've agreed. We're not able to backfill this.
Hochul is choosing a doomsday approach, as it's likely not all federal dollars will be yanked. She avoided taking a stand on either further cutting taxes or raising them, a position she is generally opposed to. But the powerful state Senate leader weighed in.
We have raising taxes always on the table. Again, we're clear that, and I think people are clear, that we are talking about billions and billions of dollars, which we cannot replace.
Highlighting other cuts to Homeland Security grants outside the deadlock.
In my own city in Yonkers, and the announcement was that Homeland Security had cut $3 million from that local police department. Now, this is being multiplied all over our state, all over our country.
Other state lawmakers reacting.
When we get back to the state capitol, we're going to do everything we can to mitigate the pain that the Trump administration has foisted on New Yorkers.
There's too much going around in this city, in this state. We're just coming out of a pandemic less than half a decade ago. We need our health care. People need to be able to go to the doctor.
So the governor and these top Democrats, of course, trying to highlight and spell out to New Yorkers what's at risk. Also, State Attorney General Letitia James was talking about MTA security grants that have also been threatened, about $33 million. And during the press conference, the governor learned that $18 billion in infrastructure grants to Gateway and the 2nd Avenue subway could possibly be frozen, but that is now up for debate.
So, yeah, there's project money and then there's permanent downsizing. I saw one estimate that something like 90% of the Department of Education is going to be fired, and that might even end up being permanent. Yeah, and that trickle-down effect to all 50 states, not just New York, will be, it'll be a massive uproar, especially when we're talking about education dollars. New York spends the most money on education and health care, and if there's any slimming down of any education dollar or program, it'll have a major impact across the school districts. There are 115,000 federal workers in the state, and about half of them are here in the 5 boroughs. I mean, that's going to affect people's ability to pay their rent or go out to restaurants. I mean, there's going to be economic impacts that we're going to feel pretty quickly, I would think.
Sure, and there's also actually, Errol, a chunk of state workers, a couple thousand, maybe under 10,000, that are on state or on federal funding lines as well. So the number might be a little bigger. Just talking to those in state government, they're trying to assess the overall impacts. And again, which federal workers will be deemed essential versus non-essential.
Okay, we will keep watching. Thank you, Bernadette. The government shutdown means that tens of thousands of federal employees here in New York will be without a paycheck, and that impact on other New Yorkers won't be as immediate or obvious, but it could include the loss of SNAP benefits and the closure of landmarks like the Statue of Liberty. Our Bobby Kuza joins us now with that part of the story. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Errol. And there is still a lot that we don't know about the impact, in part because President Trump and these individual agencies actually have a lot of discretion over how they carry this out. Statue of Liberty was open today. It was operating. You could go buy a ferry ticket, but we don't know if it's going to be open tomorrow or if it's going to be open next week. So a lot of the impacts won't be felt for days or even for weeks.
The federal government shutdown doesn't affect certain services. The post office, which is self-funded, will still deliver mail. Social Security and Medicare benefits will continue, and many essential employees, from active military to air traffic controllers and TSA agents, will stay on the job without pay. Still, local elected officials issued warnings Wednesday.
The consequences of this shutdown are devastating.
The shutdown is expected to disrupt food benefits known as SNAP for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and a separate program known as WIC for women, infants, and children.
1 in 10 people in our state will now struggle putting food on their tables. 442,000 women and children who depend on WIC could see their benefits cut.
Governor Hochul held her news conference in view of the Statue of Liberty, which remained open to visitors Wednesday, but which she warned could soon go dark. Hochul has no plan to keep the Statue of Liberty open using state funding, as then Governor Cuomo did in 2018.
We want to keep tourism flowing, we want people coming, and we don't want any disruption.
In general, information was hard to come by Wednesday, even on government websites. The Federal Housing Agency announced the radical left in Congress shut down the government, but little else. Federal courts remained open, as did passport services. But many of the 115,000 federal employees in New York State will be furloughed, with some notable exceptions.
Most law enforcement gets deemed essential.
New York's Homeland Security and Emergency Services Commissioner Jackie Bray says at agencies like ICE, officers will continue working without pay, but may lose critical support staff, pointing to her own experience working at the National Weather Service during the last shutdown.
Our meteorologists were essential, right? But the IT staff that fixed our computer systems and made sure our radars were working were non-essential. We could limp by for a couple weeks. You get into the third and fourth week and stuff really starts breaking. That's going to be true in Homeland Security as well.
And for those federal workers that are furloughed or who are working without pay, if and when the government reopens, they will automatically receive back pay. But I also wanted to mention, you're talking about the impact of people not getting their paychecks. Last time around in 2018, 2019, we saw disruptions at LaGuardia Airport because some of these air traffic controllers, they're supposed to be on the job, but they're not getting their paychecks. And after a few weeks, as this goes on, morale is low, people start not showing up to work, and that can have a huge disruptive impact, and that's what we saw the last time.
Yeah, last time, and it was what, 30-plus days, 35 days?
35 days last time.
So people should be battening down the hatches, and this could last almost till Thanksgiving, I guess.
I mean, there is really no indication that the two sides in Washington are anywhere close to reaching a deal. So I think people should be prepared for this to last. And like I said, some of the impacts are not going to be felt immediately, but they will go on. And then, if we see mass firings that go beyond just furloughs, you're going to see this thing begin to snowball over the weeks to come.
And what about the NYPD? We heard about an upstate police department that got sort of some of their funding pulled. Do we know anything that might have happened here?
Well, there's no impact on the NYPD necessarily directly because of the shutdown, but there was this separate issue of the feds cutting counterterrorism funding, something like $190 million the other day, separate and apart from the shutdown, and that is going to have a devastating impact. We've heard the police commissioner warn about this, counterterrorism efforts in the subway and elsewhere. So there are a lot of funding problems coming from the federal government right now.
Okay, thanks very much, Bobby. It is time for a break. When we come back, what led to a judge deciding to assign a federal receiver to oversee Rikers Island? We've got an exclusive look at the deteriorating conditions in the jail complex in a special report ahead. Later on tonight, the remaining 3 candidates for mayor are busy hitting the campaign trail with less than a month to go until early voting. We'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Spectrum TV, isn't that only live TV?
No, it's only all my favorite streaming apps with live TV.
Okay.
It's only all included at no extra cost. And that's the magic of math. Will this be on the test? Sure. Why not?
It's only one simple payment for all our TV. We gotta simplify and win. Winning is equally important.
If not, more so.
Yeah!
Only Spectrum TV, fixed TV.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of, they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Earlier this year, a federal judge made a historic decision to appoint an independent manager to take over control of much of our city's jail system. It was a decision years in the making following fights in court and the city failing to improve conditions at city jails. New York One obtained exclusive video of some of the incidents that led to this decision. And I'd like to warn you that the footage you're going to see is disturbing. Our investigative reporter, Courtney Gross, joins me now with this exclusive report. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Errol. We know the road to receivership was many years in the making, but there was several incidents in 2023 that raised serious concerns by the federal monitor, which led us on the path where we are today. We received exclusive video of those incidents, and like Errol said, the footage is disturbing. The moment Carlton James became a quadriplegic, he claims, losing the use of his limbs. He was in city jail in May of 2023, seen in exclusive video obtained by New York One running out of an elevator a short time before. Then a group of correction officers take him down, holding him there for nearly 5 minutes.
Grab his wrist, grab his wrist.
During the chaotic scene, it is difficult to see what happens. They take him to another area to be searched.
Come on, get on your feet. Get on your feet.
After that, James, whose arms were rear-cuffed and legs shackled, moves his leg towards an officer as he tries to help him with his shoes. They take him down again, the view partially obstructed in the video obtained by New York One. But he appears to hit his head multiple times. And after that, he can no longer support the weight of his own body.
Mr. James was assaulted by corrections officers in the city jails when, as the videos show, he was essentially helpless and trying to follow their orders, and treated so savagely that when he signed his affidavit in our case, he had to sign it with a pen in his mouth because he can no longer move his arms.
James is one of several cases highlighted by the Legal Aid Society and lawyers for detainees on Rikers Island as they argued for an independent takeover of the jail system. He is also suing the city. His attorney would not discuss the case with New York One as they attempt to, quote, resolve it. But this story is one of several that led to an unprecedented takeover of city jails.
The court's decision this past spring was historic, and she ruled that New York City can no longer be trusted to manage its own jails and come into compliance with the court's orders.
Mary Lynn Whirlwass was one of several attorneys who argued in court during years-long litigation that the city had to do more to protect detainees on Rikers Island. Earlier this year, federal judge Laura Taylor Swain agreed, saying she would appoint an independent remediation manager to take over much of the system. She is currently considering several candidates in a sealed court process. New York One obtained body camera and security footage of 5 incidents that led to this decision. Incidents that were initially called out by the jail's federal monitor in 2023, saying they raised serious concerns about the department's ability to safely manage the individuals in custody. They include the James incident, a suicide in a mental health unit, and several occasions where officers allegedly ignored detainees' medical issues and injuries. New York One filed a Freedom of Information law request for these videos in 2023. The Department of Correction gave New York One this footage over the course of 2 years. In response to this story, a spokesperson for the Department of Correction said, under Commissioner McGinley-Liddy, we have made tremendous progress moving this agency forward from years of instability and remain laser focused on keeping those who work and live in our facilities safe. There is no doubt there is more work to do, but we are seeing improvements both in the data and in the day-to-day functions. Our city and those who work and live here deserve no less. In its response, the department highlighted changes it has made to training, recruitment, and expanding the use of body cameras. It did not answer New York One's specific questions about these cases. In the course of this reporting, we asked the Department of Correction for interviews multiple times, and they declined. We have also asked multiple times to visit Rikers Island, but we were told no. Attorneys for detainees and the federal monitor have said these incidents are emblematic of a chaotic Rikers Island in need of more federal oversight. Cut to May 2023. A very crowded intake pen on Rikers, where some have been waiting for days to be admitted. That included Daniel Cruz. Cruz was in the back of the video and, according to the Rikers Federal Monitor and his attorney, repeatedly assaulted by other detainees. He is taken out of the intake area in clear distress, struggling to get down the hallway. But then Cruz is left in another cell for at least 3 hours, naked and in distress. He was eventually transported to the hospital where he needed to be intubated, had internal bleeding, multiple rib fractures, and a ruptured spleen that had to be removed. He is suing the city. His attorney.
Instead of being taken with obvious injuries to medical, he was left in a cell. He was transferred to a cell and left there for hours and hours with internal bleeding. During this time, his injuries continue to get worse. His case is an example of how people are treated at Rikers Island, and that's really with a lack of care.
In a statement to New York One, Cruz said, "They were supposed to protect me, but instead I got jumped and hurt real bad. I was bleeding, in pain, and asking for help, but nobody came. They left me naked in a cold cell for hours, like I ain't even human." In another incident, a detainee, Rubu Zhao, was on a mental health unit on Rikers and is seen jumping to his death on the floor below. A state commission on correction report from earlier this year said there were inadequacies in the psychiatric and mental health care provided to him, but much of the report is redacted. The healthcare provider for Rikers Island told New York One it disagreed with this finding, and after conducting a quality assessment review, found the care provided to the patient was, quote, appropriate.
We are running Rikers Island, and we can continue to move it forward. And Rikers Island has been a problem for decades. 3 years and 9 months, we have made great strides. We should be able to continue the job.
The city continues to fight the appointment of this independent manager, commonly referred to as a federal receiver, in court. Still, numbers show there are more stabbings and slashings on Rikers than there were when court oversight was initially installed a decade ago. The use of force by corrections staff is also worse than when this lawsuit started. It's for these reasons, attorneys argue, Rikers is more dangerous now than it was before, and a federal receiver is necessary.
And someone who sees that there's an opportunity here to cut through some of the morass and some of the New York City politics that have made Rikers Island a quagmire and I would say, laughing stock of the United States, if in fact it weren't so shameful.
Now, the powers of this federal receiver are still being debated in court, and it's unclear when the federal judge in this case will make her final decision. But my sources, Errol, are certainly hoping that it will happen by the end of the year and are expecting as much.
Anywhere along the line, did you get any sense from anybody in the Department of Correction of, sort of, sorry this happened, sorry this man lost his spleen, sorry this man lost his life?
No, they wouldn't answer our questions about these incidents at all. In fact, we asked very detailed questions of were any correction officers, captains, supervisors disciplined in this case? Can you give us some background, specifically in the Carlton case? Why was he running from the elevator? Why was Mr. James taken down initially? Did you believe he had some sort of weapon on him? But those kinds of questions, we just didn't get any answers, so we don't have the context, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. What we know is that the Federal Monitor called out these incidents in 2023, not only for the violent nature of them, but also the transparency issue, because the department in many of these cases did not tell the Federal Monitor, who is overseeing what happens on Rikers Island, about these incidents, and they ended up finding out about these incidents through whistleblowers.
Thanks very much, Courtney. And be sure to join us tomorrow night when you can catch the second installment of this Rikers series. We'll examine the role that the next mayor must play with the troubled jail complex. Right now, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail today as candidates roll out new ads and we hit the home stretch of the race for mayor. Stay with us. This election year is all about New York City. There are 51 council seats up for grabs, races for our next city comptroller and the next public advocate.
Plus, an unprecedented race for mayor. That puts the power in your hands to decide who will run our city.
Our team of political experts will be covering every angle of this election to keep you informed on how it could affect you, so you can feel confident with your decision at the polls.
Stay with Spectrum News New York 1 for Decision 2025, exclusively on Spectrum.
It's only a game. It's only a little rivalry. It's only a ritual.
When I come home late,
and a few generations.
you're always there.
And only Spectrum TV includes all your favorite streaming apps with live TV at no extra cost. It's only a game. It's only everything.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time.
And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan.
Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York 1 to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood. Because our city never stops moving.
Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first,
Stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. We are in the final stretch of the campaign for mayor, and the candidates are releasing new ads and building towards the final push to November 4th, which is 34 days away. Our Dan Rivoli was out with the candidates today, and he joins me now with the latest from the campaign trail. Good evening, Dan.
Hey, good evening, Errol. So we are in October politics. So you had Mamdani sticking to his message on a rent freeze, having an appearance on ABC's The View. Meanwhile, Cuomo was picking up support for his independent bid for mayor, and Curtis Sliwa had a new ad trying to tie his Democratic opponents together on the issue of public safety. Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor, kicked off the final stretch of the campaign, charming the hosts of the ABC show The View.
He's attacking you as a communist, are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist. That means I believe in dignity for all people.
And Mamdani had a clearer answer on a question that dogged the critic of Israel's war in Gaza, his thoughts on Hamas and Israeli hostages.
Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas.
Of course I condemn Hamas. Of course I've called October 7th what it was, which is a horrific war crime.
Then it was to the Bronx for a Freeze the Rent rally with tenants.
We are going to deliver a 4-year rent freeze.
Asked about the de Blasio administration's rent freezes and the city continuing to be unaffordable, Mamdani said,
At the very least, they want to know that the rent they're paying today is the rent they'll be expected to pay next year.
Mamdani, meanwhile, is launching an ad buy.
We'll freeze the rent, make buses fast and free, and deliver universal child care.
While Mamdani was on message, Cuomo was repenting.
I am truly sorry.
Ahead of Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday of atonement, Cuomo apologizing to Jewish New Yorkers in the Orthodox community for the tough COVID restrictions that targeted them and promised to confront anti-Semitism.
It is real, it is dangerous, and it must be confronted.
We're going to do what we have to do to support this man.
Then Cuomo got support from clergy in Queens, promising more affordable housing.
The rent is too darn high, and the only way we're going to get that down is by building more housing.
Cuomo also released an ad that shows his goofier side, kind of.
I'm Andrew Cuomo, and I could pretend to do a lot of jobs.
It's Cuomo, designed by artificial intelligence.
And I do know how to make government work. I'll hire 5,000 new cops.
Republican Curtis Sliwa has an ad of his own.
We're going to end the cash bail system once and for all.
Worse, Zohran Mamdani wants to go even further. With them in charge, you are not safe.
We deserve better. It has to do with making a hydra, two-headed person, Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani, on the issue of public safety, which is their Achilles heel.
And when it comes to affordability, of course, Mamdani has his free bus idea, but Sliwa and Cuomo also have ideas on affordability in transit, especially after the MTA voted to hike fares and tolls. Curtis Sliwa says he wants to give commuters a $500 rebate. Meanwhile, Cuomo called the vote on a fare hike and toll hike unjustifiable and unacceptable, saying that the MTA should not have raised fares, saying they could find the savings. And he's proposing an expansion of the Fair Fares program, saying it should cover free subway rides, free buses for families making up almost $50,000 a year for a family of 4. Errol.
That apology or repentance is really quite remarkable. What was the substance of it? Was he saying he was sorry that it hurt them, but it needed to be done? Or was it, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done some of the policies that were imposed back during the pandemic?
Not that latter part that you just said. He did say, I am sorry, unqualified, and he framed it in that video as this is what we were up against, and this is what we tried to do. We should have and could have done it more sensitive to the Orthodox Jewish community. Then he was outside of getting an endorsement from a union local, and he was asked about that. Like, well, what are you exactly apologetic for? And it was certainly those those zones. I don't want to give anyone COVID flashbacks, but you remember the yellow zones and the red zones. And he said the Orthodox Jewish community felt particularly targeted because places like Borough Park were in the red zone. Cuomo says there were many communities that were affected by that, and it was really driven by the data. And he said he was sorry they felt targeted.
Okay, very interesting, which is quite different from saying I shouldn't have implemented those policies. That's what was really at the heart of a lot of it. So now when it comes to Curtis Lewa, when he says the other two will not keep you safe, which is a pretty alarming statement to put even in an ad, is he saying it's because of cash bail? Or is he saying what?
That is correct. You can go on with the legislation he blames for what he sees as repeat offenders. You know, you offend, you get arrested, you get let go, and then people go on to offend again. So it is certainly the reforms to cash bail, certainly raise the age, known as that policy that raises the age on criminal responsibility to 18. I believe it used to be 16. So that got, and he blames that for what he sees as shootings from youth gangs. So those are definitely the policies that he blamed on Cuomo for getting that passed when he was governor, and then Mamdani for supporting it just as a politician and in the legislature.
Right. It works, I guess, as a campaign plank. On the other hand, if elected, a Mayor Sliwa would have to go up to Albany and try and reverse all of that, right?
And he would not have been the first mayor to do so, right? Mayor Adams tried to make these changes to Governor Hochul, who had a sympathetic ear to that. There were some changes, but obviously Curtis Lee was really putting the center of his campaign on public safety. And look, yes, as the mayor, you'll have the bully pulpit to call on changes like that, call on the DAs and judges to kind of be more forceful on criminal defendants. And, you know, we know Curtis uses the bully pulpit.
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much, Dan. Let's take a short break now. When we come back, part of a high-rise apartment building of a public housing complex in the Bronx collapsed today. We're going to bring you the details and tell you what local officials had to say about it. Stay with us.
My time at New York One has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Burke.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on the Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month, as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. A partial building collapse this morning up in the Bronx caused chaos inside a public housing apartment complex and left residents displaced, but there were no injuries. New York One's Emma Barnett has the details in this report.
The city says an explosion in a building chimney destroyed part of this 20-story structure Wednesday morning. The corner missing was a ventilation shaft, now in a mound of rubble.
This morning, like around 8:10, I feel like the building was shaking. I thought it was an earthquake. And I said, oh my God, I don't want to feel that. And I started jumping, but I hear a big boom. So I say, no, but this is something like a bomb.
Marilyn Olito lives on the second floor of the building, partially collapsed, which is part of the Housing Authority's Mitchell houses.
I go back inside to knock the door of the neighbor, and my second floor is a lot of old people. And I say, okay, the building is collapsing, so you got to go out of there.
Olito says she has medication in her apartment she needs to take, but has not been able to get back in to get it all day because inspectors were checking to make sure the building was structurally sound. Linda Duke has lived in the building for over 60 years.
You're looking out the window, all you see is smoke. You don't see nothing else. And not a happy situation, because I'm there by myself.
She says she has family she can stay with.
My concern is more where them other people is going. I got somewhere to go.
Residents have been encouraged to go to the Mitchell Community Center to rest and get something to eat. The fire department says it took less than 5 minutes for them to arrive on the scene and quickly deployed K9 units to make sure no one was trapped under the rubble.
It is a ventilation shaft connected to the boiler, which collapsed. We believe that's where the explosion occurred. But that's going to be for our fire marshals and the NYPD and all of our investigative partners to investigate and explore.
There are over 150 units in the building. The boiler in the building that partially collapsed fed the entire complex. There are 11 buildings. That's why NYCHA is bringing in mobile boilers and says it is making arrangements to put people who cannot go back into their apartments in hotels.
We're anticipating that the bulk of the residents will be able to go back with the exception of F&G, which we have inspectors, engineering inspectors conducting an assessment of those units now just because they were in closer proximity to the chimney. But it is anticipated that the other units should be fine and that people can go back.
It appears residents from at least 40 units will not be able to return to their apartments for some time. There are 3 open violations on boilers in the building. Fire marshals have yet to announce what caused the explosion. An investigation is still ongoing. In the Bronx, Emma Barnett, New York 1.
For the first time since he announced that he's dropping his re-election bid, Mayor Adams was back in the public eye today for a busy day, still running the city. Our Kelly Mena joins me now with the latest. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Errol. And the mayor was lying low, but not anymore. On Wednesday, he came out to the public, made his appearance since dropping out of the mayor's race. A busy day for him as he attended to that partial building collapse and also touted the work of his administration.
Good morning, everyone.
After almost 3 days of keeping a low profile following his exit from the mayor's race, Adams reemerged amid a busy morning for the city. First, appearing during a partial building collapse in the Bronx.
As the mayor, it's my obligation to ensure that the tenants and the residents in this area are safe.
And then later to tout the latest crime statistics that show major crimes continue to decrease. City officials said Wednesday that for the 7th straight quarter, the city's major crimes like shootings, murders, and robberies are decreasing.
We're not resting until every New Yorker is not only safe, but feels safe in our home, in our subways, and on our sidewalks.
Amid the police briefing, the mayor highlighted the work of his administration in housing, education, and the economy and had this message for his successor.
I'm leaving this city in good shape. I mean, what more can you say? I can't say I am extremely optimistic about what is going to happen.
The mayor seemingly taking shots at the Democratic nominee and frontrunner in the race, Zohran Mamdani, saying,
when you talk about disbanding SRG, when you talk about telling police officers not to respond to domestic violence incidents, when you want to take away the gang database, we don't understand how imperative it is to focus on guns, get them off the street. If that is not your plan, then, you know, it's problematic.
And the mayor still has about 3 months left in his term, which ends December 31st of this year, Errol.
It sounds like he's still a little bit in campaign mode, even though the campaign is over.
Yeah, and I think he's a little bit bitter, right? Because he has this person that may be coming into office and may undo some things that he's put into place, initiatives that he's championed while he's been in office. And anybody who, you know, has been mayor, you want your legacy to continue past you and not get undone so quickly.
Well, what, if anything, we've seen over the course of the last 3 mayoralties, going from Bloomberg to de Blasio and then to Adams, is that very different approaches can actually still get those numbers down if that's the metric that you want to use for success.
That's right. I mean, there's different approaches to public safety. The way Mamdani is approaching it is from this community aspect, closer to New Yorkers and to the local community, versus the mayor who had this hard stance coming from NYPD background. But Mamdani could continue many of those programs, many of those initiatives just in his own way. But obviously the mayor seeing it differently. He's always said that Mamdani is this threat to the city, and that because they're on opposite sides of public safety, they're in ideologies, maybe he's not going to continue that work.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we're going to talk politics with our weekly politics panel. Stay with us.
The next downtown Local 6 train to Brooklyn Bridge City Hall will arrive in 2 minutes.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer.
I'm so honored to be a meteorologist here at New York One because as a Brooklyn kid, this is the station that I grew up watching. Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our weather on the ones. Watch the New York One weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything. Movies, series, sports, reality, news.
Here's a look at today's top stories.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
Even more of your favorites with live TV. Stream across your devices and enjoy anywhere.
See you later.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where we are turning back to Eric Adams' decision to quit the race for mayor. That leaves Zohran Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, and Andrew Cuomo all vying for his job. Which of the 3 gains the most by Adams dropping out? Joining me to talk about that and much more is my weekly politics panel. Susan Kang is a political science professor at John Jay College and a leading member of the New York City Democratic Socialists of America. Joining us as he does every Wednesday is New York One political commentator Herson Barrero. Thank you both for being here. So let's get into this. I want to, I guess, well, you know what? Let's talk about the thing that's on everybody's mind in the green rooms and everywhere else. It turns out that a former city worker who was hired for a specialty job at a salary of $161,000 is or was an intimate partner of Mayor Adams. Jasmine Ray is now planning to publish a tell-all book that she's been promoting on social media with AI video. It's got a theme song. Let's look a little at what's going on here.
Ooh. What would you do if love came with shadows?
Hello, I'm Eric.
Hi, Eric. I'm Jasmine.
One woman must navigate the dangerous space between loyalty and betrayal.
Political humanity. What you gonna do?
Okay. A City Hall spokesperson says that Jasmine Ray was the director of the mayor's Office of Sports and Recreation. She resigned last week on September 26th, and it says they had a personal relationship 10 years ago, not while the mayor was in office. My sources say different. I don't know what you guys are hearing. Does any of this make a difference now that he's dropping out of the race?
in terms of his reputation or her ability to sell books. I mean, is there a big appetite in terms of the book market for a tell-all on Eric Adams? Perhaps. That was
I reserve my copy. I don't know about you.
I mean, that was certainly a compelling AI ad.
I got to tell you, when I'm troubled by this, and I'll say this without naming names, but I do names of people that supposedly had the same situation that are now in his administration, and that's troubling. So if he's got her job or created this position with that kind of money, I want him sued for that money to return it to the city coffers, because this is a payoff to somebody to keep quiet. I'm saying that. I don't know that for a fact. Let's see what she says in her all-tell book. And I am reserving my copy also, because you got to know what's there. And there may be criminal charges coming out of that, because we don't know what she's saying. In addition to that, I think that we may take it lightly, and it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but you're doing it with a subordinate. She worked for him. I know people I know two names of women, that it would be horrible if it comes out. He'll be out of office December 31st, 2025. There will be a new mayor. But there should be criminal charges filed against him. And I'll tell you, the Manhattan DA should do it. Alvin Bragg should pursue it.
We will see. Let's talk about, I guess, more broadly about Mayor Adams' legacy. What were his biggest achievements, his positive achievements? What were his biggest setbacks, do you think?
I was actually thinking about this. I feel like some of his achievements include, like, the City of Yes. So that, I think, was something that he might be very proud of. I think he's had his ability to continue to govern in light of all the accusations and being the subject of a lot of gossip and speculation. And I think another thing that's interesting, I don't know if it's a legacy, but he always had a really combative position with people who should have been his natural allies. So if he wanted to say, I'm a real maverick, I did it my way, I think he can say that with great confidence.
I think his legacy is one of shame. Particularly for people who've known him for a long time, and you have, and I have. And to see him scale civil service and coming from where he came from in Brooklyn, his background, his mother and all that, and then to disappoint, especially communities of color, black folks in particular, I think it's a disgrace. I think that the 4 counts that were pardoned by the criminal in chief that we have, the convicted felon of him, again, DA Alvin Bragg, I think you could take some of those people that resigned, those people that investigated that case, and turn it into a state case and prosecute. I think he should go to jail. That should be his legacy, that he be prosecuted at this level and go to jail for the crimes he committed, because we all know that he could have been at a federal. He had 4 counts and they were serious of corruption. On
the plus side, I would say phonics instruction, getting it back into the schools, very sound. I like the sanitation plan. We don't pour garbage on the streets anymore. You have to put it in a container. That's a good thing. No, it's not a small thing. On the negative side, of course, we just had that special, and we'll have part 2 tomorrow, about what went on at Rikers Island was an absolute disgrace.
Criminal.
And will be a negative.
Well, that's on him, too.
Oh, no, oh, for sure. I mean, 40-plus deaths, I think, in custody on Rikers during his time as mayor. Let's take a short break. We've got more to talk about with this politics panel. We'll do that in 2 minutes. Stay with us. Here's the deal. People need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 on Spectrum News New York 1. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Floor's Fire Design House. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. Spectrum helps me stay online. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. Without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
Get up to 4 months free when you bundle award-winning internet. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where I'm once again joined by my politics panel, Susan King and Hurston Barrero. Let's talk about the shutdown. It is day one of the latest government shutdown, and among the casualties so far is funding for the Gateway Tunnel and for the 2nd Avenue subway. Will Democrats like Senator Schumer get blamed by New Yorkers, or will he get credit for fighting back in the only way he could in the moment against Republican cuts to health care?
Susan, do you have something? Because I got a lot to say, but go ahead.
All right. I mean, I have a lot to say, too, which is that I think if you compare Schumer and the Democrats now to 2017, a lot more sort of like waiting and seeing, milder language. They have a platform. They can say, oh, we don't have either, House or the Senate. They can say whatever they want about how they don't have power. They have a platform. They could be on the news every day saying, this is what Trump's doing. This is why it's harming Americans. This is why we reject it. This is why other things are more important. Vote for us in 2026. I don't see that unified messaging. I'm still seeing cautious behavior, and this is the result of that cautious behavior. We had a strong hashtag resistance that involved grassroots and elected leadership last time, and I just don't see it this time around, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be from the state where the two leaders of the opposition are, and they're not doing much opposing.
There you go. The two leaders that are represented in the persons of Hakeem Jeffries as the leader in the House of Representatives and Chuck Schumer, who's been around for 46 years. I think at this stage, we expected more from them. And hitting New York specifically, from a guy who's from Queens, born in Queens, a New Yorker who has property still here, it's just shocking that they have not led with more force, and they're still playing this insider game with a guy who has beaten them. He beat him to the presidency once, then he tried to cheat him out of it, then he got reelected in the worst fashion possible, saying, in a modern-day Hitler, I'm not comparing him, Mein Kampf, he's laid it all out, this is what I'm gonna do. The way he's prosecuting people, and these two guys are playing like if they didn't know who this guy was. They know what he's doing, he's attacking. By the way, his interest is also setting up New York so that they vote. He's against Mandani, and he doesn't want him to bear. I think that we need to stop going and picketing Trump Tower, people, the activists. I see all this movement of young people. Zoran, take those young people out there.
Well, he's trying to win an election.
Yeah, but he can win it anyway. He's going to win it anyway.
You know what? On a related note, this week saw the extraordinary sight of the president and his defense secretary gathering the nation's military leaders to tell them to plan maneuvers inside of New York and other big cities and prepare to battle a, quote, enemy from within. How should New York leaders respond to that?
So what's really striking here is that I don't think in January that I thought Trump would be this powerful, but Trump has become this powerful because people who could have stopped him have let him take all the power. So this has been, very impressive maneuvering. I obviously don't agree with it. And again, where's the messaging? Why aren't, the Democrats were in charge of the Department of Defense. They have these relationships, leverage them, have a conversation. These are, military professionals should be having conversations about, whatever the military should be doing for the health of the defense of this country. And, I want to see, like I said, our opposition leaders leading an opposition and opposing this, I think, very unconstitutional behavior.
I watched the entire thing. I watched the secretary insult people. Oh, well, if you don't agree with them, resign. These are career men and women who have dedicated themselves. They're patriots. They have put on a uniform. They have taken bullets. They have taken bombs. These are real loving patriots. I haven't served in the military, and I didn't, and I'm not very pro-military, but I did respect the John McCain. You know what I'm saying? There's a point that you have some respect, no respect, and this guy comes out who was a draft dodger. freaking Donald Trump was a drafter. You understand? He's a coward. He's never even, I don't think he has a fist fight. And he talks to these people, these admirals and generals like that. It's a disgusting and it's a disgrace for the Republican Party right now in power to allow the commander-in-chief or the commander-in-criminal mischief. It's very annoying. And this is for a guy who I don't believe in the military. It's way over budgeted. But, you know, damn, you got to defend these people. Have some respect. They didn't, good thing is they didn't stand up. They did not applaud him. He threatened them. Well, if you don't, then I'm going to fire. I mean, this guy is a disgrace, and they've allowed it. I think the military should do something. What happens if they all resign en masse? They put in the papers.
That would be a whole other...
Right.
Military people, when they get their commission, they promise and swear to defend the Constitution. And that's very important to them. Military people are very principled. So I am was in the military very briefly, right? So we're very principled. You know, I had to take an oath to protect the Constitution. I'm not in the military anymore.
Is that why you turned socialist? Because of the military? No, okay.
That's why I like working out.
Well, I mean, but it's important. It's not an oath to the commander-in-chief.
Exactly.
Or to the administration.
And, you know, they learn the Constitution. They take oaths on the Constitution. And I think that we'll see that principled behavior coming out. I think that a lot of people are hoping for that. And, you know, they'll take orders when it comes to foreign, you know...
Understand.
Right, sort of military endeavors.
But he ordered them on the streets of cities of...
Not their own citizens, right? Not like there's. I don't think there's a strong argument for an enemy within.
Well, he may not have it, but he's saying it. He's stating it. He's making a fact that we need the control of the cities, and they happen to be democratic cities. We got to go in there and control crime. Oh, he controlled crime in Washington. Well, it was down. So these lies that he tells, and I just felt that these military people have to, you know, you got to own up. I saw 87-year-old Jane Fonda, who some people, the younger people, check out who she was. They already started with artists in Hollywood standing up to this kind of, because they saw it. Her father was one of the originals, said when they had the artists, Hollywood stand up against what McCarthyism. And please check that. I'm sure you know, you're a political person and history and you teach it. I just think that we're falling asleep and letting this guy get away. He's a dictator already. Never mind the power that he's gained. What are we waiting for?
We will keep an eye on this. Thanks so much for coming by. Great talking with you. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
That's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You done with the sports section?
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Floor Spire Design House. We are a full production wedding and event company that focuses on florals. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They were here the same day, had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. And if I'm contacting a merchant via email or placing an order online, without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
One more row.
Spectrum is reliable, they're committed, they're fast, and they really take care of me as a business owner. Last year, when the really bad hurricane came through, our internet stayed the entire time. One of the businesses down the street, she was like, wait a minute, how are you still online? And I was like, Spectrum, baby. You gotta get Spectrum.
Get award-winning internet for your business. Up to 4 months free when